A long time ago, the Israelites were suffering because the Philistines were ruling over them for 40 years. In a town called Zorah, there was a man named Manoah from the tribe of Dan. Manoah's wife couldn't have children. One day, an angel from God appeared to her and said, "You haven't been able to have children, but you will soon have a son. Make sure you don't drink wine or eat anything unclean. When your son is born, never cut his hair because he will be a Nazirite, dedicated to God. He will help save Israel from the Philistines." Excited, the woman told her husband Manoah about the angel's message. Manoah prayed to God to send the angel again to teach them how to raise the child. God answered his prayer, and the angel came back to repeat the instructions. Later, the woman gave birth to a son and named him Samson. As Samson grew up, God blessed him, and he became very strong. One day, Samson went to a place called Timnah and saw a Philistine woman he wanted to marry. His parents were upset and asked him to find a wife from their own people, but Samson insisted on marrying her. They didn't know God was working through this to create trouble for the Philistines. On his way to Timnah, Samson was attacked by a young lion. God's spirit gave him strength, and he tore the lion apart with his bare hands. Later, he saw bees and honey inside the dead lion. He ate some honey and gave some to his parents, but didn't tell them where it came from. At his wedding feast, Samson made a bet with 30 Philistine men, saying, "If you can solve my riddle within 7 days, I'll give you 30 sets of clothes. But if you can't, you have to give me 30 sets of clothes." The riddle was, out of the eater, something to eat. Out of the strong, something sweet. The Philistine men couldn't solve the riddle, so they threatened Samson's wife to make him explain it. She begged and cried until Samson finally told her. She then told her people, and they solved the riddle. Angry that they cheated, Samson went to a town called Ashkelon, killed 30 men, took their clothes and gave them to the men who solved the riddle. Filled with anger, he went back to his father's house, and his wife was given to another man. When Samson returned to see his wife, her father told him she was given to someone else and offered her younger sister instead. Furious, Samson caught 300 foxes, tied their tails together, attached burning torches to them, and released them into the Philistines' fields. The fire destroyed their crops, vineyards, and olive trees. The Philistines, angry over their loss, found out Samson did it and burned his wife and her father's house. Samson took revenge by attacking and killing many Philistines. After that, he hid in a cave. The Philistines wanted revenge, so they camped in Judah. The people of Judah, afraid of the Philistines, went to Samson and said they would tie him up and hand him over. Samson agreed as long as they wouldn't kill him themselves. When the Philistines came to get him, the power of God filled Samson, and he broke the ropes like they were nothing. He picked up a fresh jawbone of a donkey and killed 1,000 Philistines with it. Later, Samson went to Gaza and met a woman he spent the night with. The people of Gaza tried to trap him, but Samson woke up at midnight, tore the city gates off, and carried them to a hill. Then Samson fell in love with a woman named Delilah. The Philistine rulers promised her money if she could find out the secret of Samson's strength. She kept asking him until he finally told her, "My strength is in my hair. If it's cut, I will be as weak as any other man." While Samson was sleeping, Delilah had his hair cut off. When he woke up, he was weak because God's power had left him. The Philistines captured him, gouged out his eyes, and made him a prisoner. While Samson was in prison, his hair began to grow back. One day, the Philistines held a big party to celebrate their victory. They brought Samson out to make fun of him. Samson asked the servant who was holding his hand to place him between two pillars. Samson prayed to God, asking for strength one last time. Then, with all his might, he pushed the pillars, and the whole building collapsed, killing all the Philistines and himself. He died with his enemies, but he destroyed more Philistines that day than he ever did while alive. His family came and took his body and buried him.